talking about, we're going to look at Tesla.
Yeah.
All right. Just
So,
one look at the disclaimer before we go into Tesla. There you go, D.
okay. Let me share my screen. And we did a webinar last week on stock volume bursts, and we kind of covered Tesla. So I'll just come back to it and review it again. What the volume bursts like, the large volume bursts in the stock in Tesla looked like. And we'll take a look at the last couple of days, what happened. Right now, we're not open today, but we'll look at Friday's activity, and then we'll take a look at maybe some of the historical. So I'm going to go here to the price action analysis. And first, we get this summary view. Let me just close this for a second. And I might as well just go over this table before we get to the large volume burst. And when we look at the stock trading and volume, we have these different sessions throughout the day. So right now the official regular market hours are not open, right? So the regular trading hours are after 9:30. Prior to that, we have this pre-market trading. So this is so far in a pre-market activity. We could see that Tesla traded for a VWAP price of $258.94 and traded $900 million worth of stock. And if we just compare that to last 30 days, that's a little bit higher, 1.5 times higher than its average daily volume in dollar terms. Okay, so $900 million worth, that's more than usual. The VWAP price here is $258.94, so we could kind of compare, well, where is it trading now? The last 257, so it's floating a little bit below the VWAP, but you could see we're closed 248. So we're up almost 4% already. And if we just wanted to compare it to the last 30 days, here's the average daily dollar volume it trades, 600. I'm sorry, this is the 30-day versus the 30-day. So the last 30 days it traded $626 million worth of stock per day. How does that compare to the previous average daily? Prior 30 days, 500 million. So we could see that recently, or at least in the last 30 days, the volume in pre-market has ticked up by 25%. So what this is showing us is that, there's definitely more trading interest in Tesla in the last 30 days if we compare it to the previous. And that looks like the same thing goes for the opening cross, up 37%, and also for regular trading hours, we're up 36%. So the trading interest itself has definitely, increased in Tesla. And if you click on this, you'll get a little bit more details in the pre-market. So this shows you how the volume looks like right before the open. Okay, so we look at the volume 2 minutes before, we look at the volume 1 minute before, and then we could compare that to the open cross. And that's because right up to the, where do we see an increase in volume? And then we could kind of compare the VWAP price right before the open and where the specialist opened, right? So how far away did the specialist open the price relative to where it was trading in the pre-market hours right before? Was it on an uptick or downtick? Okay, that's what you'd be looking at, this the volume, and did he open it on an uptick or downtick relative to where it was trading right before? Okay, so even here we see, definitely increases in volume. So I'm going to close this, hide it for a second. And let's just go over these different sessions, and then I'm going to go to the regular trading hours. So here the opening cross is it's a single trade auction, meaning that when you look at trading, we see, like say during regular trading hours, you see continuous trading, meaning that there's bids and offers and it's just continuously trading, buys, sells, and so forth. Single leg trade auction is the accumulation of buy and sell orders. Okay, so you got all these buy orders, you got all these sell orders, and what the specialist does is try to determine what price can all of them, or what price can he trade them at that gets the most fills, basically, because you could have orders well below you could have orders to sell, let's say $20, you got orders to sell buy at $21, so you got all these buys and sells coming in that are accumulating on the specialist book, and these are people who aren't trading in the pre-market hours, they're just sending their orders in to get executed during regular trading hours, because in pre-market you'd have to get approval to trade in pre-market, you have to designate it to trade in the pre-market, so there are orders in the morning that the specialist has to deal with, and certain institutions or people are not permitted to trade in the pre-market hours, or they don't have the permission. So then you got this opening cross, right? And the opening cross is we track that volume, right? Was there a big spike in volume in the opening cross? And then we would want to know, well, why? Well, sometimes if you get a big volume spike that suggests that there's a huge amount of accumulation of orders, could be very skewed to one side, could be somebody who needs to liquidate at the market but needs to trade at regular trading hours, because you're not sending in market orders in a pre-market, because you're not accessing the larger, more thicker specialist order book. So those are a few things to consider right up to the open. So then you got your regular trading hours. So over here. So today, so far, we're still in the pre-market. But we could see here that the regular trading hours, Tesla is trading on average $19.4 billion worth of stock using the last 30 days. How does that compare to the previous 30 days? 14.3 billion, so that's up 36%. And then we do have this other breakdown of regular trading hours, and we break it down right now for you by the first hour of trading, because the first hour of trading, you're going to usually see more volume, right? You got people reacting to any type of news that's coming out in a pre-market, because the news cycle, usually you get a lot in the morning, then it slows down in the middle of the day, then you get a lot sometimes after the close. So the first hour could be very busy, so we break down the volume and the action by the first hour. Then we take the midday, which excludes the first hour and last hour and everything in between. Then we look at just the last hour alone. So the last hour, you're going to get a big pickup, usually in volume as well. And that's because right up to the end of the day, you're going to have orders coming in that need to, either, buy or sell stock. There's not enough, you have 1 hour left. You're going to see a big pickup in volume for that last hour. And we also look at just the last 2 minutes of trading. And the last 2 minutes could also indicate how much volume could possibly be there that is just rebalancing books. So when you think about lots of strategies out there that go out neutral at the end of the day, right? So with pairs trading or options that you have a delta and you need to go out neutral at the end of the day, and you usually see a big pickup right at the end of the day to neutralize that delta risk or rebalancing that portfolio. So just keep an eye out there for any indication. So this is up 41% as well. And then you have this closing cross. And the closing cross is also a single trade auction. There are orders on the specialist book that are, buy on the close or sell on the close. So it's a designated order that you can, it's not just, a buy order or sell order, regular sell order next to close to the closing time. It's designated as buy on the close or sell on the close. And there are certain institutions or strategies that need the closing price because their portfolio tracking, their net asset values, their settlements are based on the exact closing price. So they can't, do a transaction close to the closing price. They need the exact one because that's how they track their portfolios, right? Like think of a mutual fund and that's net asset value. So the closing cross, right? We keep the track of that for any type of, uptick in activity because that could indicate, what may be going on in those types of instruments, right? The instruments that need the closing cross. And then we got these after hours. So after hours is similar to pre-market trading, except this is after regular trading hours, are done. You got the closing cross, and then after hours trading kicks in, and I think it goes up to 8 p.m. So there's a downtick a little bit in that. So these are the different sessions, and we could analyze them separately. So let's go right now to regular trading hours in Tesla. And we're going to go and look at the details of the volume more granular. We're going to go in there and try to figure out what kind of insights we could get if we start chopping up the volume and looking at it hold on, let me just close this, from different perspectives. So here, what we have is we have a VWAP table below. Okay, so this breaks down the volume minute by minute. So for each minute, we get these summary statistics. The volume it traded that minute, the dollar value of that volume, the volume weighted average price. Then we get the tick based on the change of the VWAP. The VWAP, how much it changed from 1 minute to the next. Okay. And then we have these other related tags, that let's just call them for now tags, category, or indicators. So the reason now we look at the minute by minute is to try to figure out if there's anything we could spot unusual within a minute that's worth analyzing or making note of, or an indication or something significant that could have happened. And we look at one is the VWAP price instead of the closing price is that usually for at least institutions, or the way, institutions track the price would be a VWAP, volume weighted average price. Lots of order types are based on the VWAP, volume weighted average price, because you could get a stock trade, right? Like we could see a stock trade, $248.23, but that could have been 1,000,000 shares that traded there, or it could be 100 shares that traded there, or it could be 500. So the VWAP, volume weighted average price, really gives you more information of the essence of where the stock was trading based on weighted volume. Okay. So these are the VWAP prices minute to minute that we're tracking, and the ticks minute to minute. So then what we do, and we have for each minute, we start analyzing. So you could drop down here, but we could analyze the volume further. And here what we see is we're analyzing the volume based on a large volume burst. Okay, and the volume burst, similar to what I was just showing you when we compared the last 30 days average daily volume to the previous 30 days, we're looking for an unusual burst in the day, okay, within the day, and then we're going to isolate them for further analysis. Are they recurring? Are they happening to kind of towards one side? Is there skew? Is it reacting to something that we could explain it away? So what this will do is look at the dollar values of these trades. And then if something that looks unusually high for that time of day, so keep in mind, we're looking at the volume profile, but also based on time of day, because it will vary. And then when it happens, what we'll do is tag it that there's a big volume burst. So let's just take a look at a buy one. So here, there are 3 volume bursts in Tesla that was from that we tag on an uptick. So we tag it as a, buy volume burst. Okay, buy volume burst would mean that the price from the previous minute got pushed higher. Okay, a sell volume burst means that the price from the VWAP price from the previous minute got pushed lower on a downtick. And here we have 3 of them, one at 11:44, one at 10:33, one at 9:50. Now, these little plus signs, they indicate that something else happened during that minute that may explain it away. So if I click on it, we'll get more information. And we can see here at 9:50, $400 million worth of stock traded. Not 1033, $334 million worth of stock traded, and 1144, $238 million worth of stock traded, which would be an unusual amount in that minute. And we give you a breakdown as well that here's how it traded. 33% of the orders were marked sweep. 34% were we consider block trades. 54% in a dark pool. 52% we consider institutional. Now remember, these are not, some of these are overlapping. These aren't supposed to add up to 100, because you could have a sweep order that's also in the dark pool. You could have an institutional order that was also sweep pool, sweep or not, and so forth. A block trade could also be an institution. So it's just kind of a breakdown of the way we tag it. So let's click on 950. So here's the 950 buy burst, that $400 million worth of stock traded. So you could see here that all of a sudden, that's higher, much higher than the other ones, but we're using also historical volume. So here we see that is 2.6 times greater than the average large volume burst. Okay. Also, what we see is that the stock from 949 to 950 went from 242.95 VWAP price to 244.53. So that's up $1.58. So based on that, we say, well, the stock got pushed higher, right? That volume, the weighted average volume, pushed that stock from 242.95 to 244.53. Okay, that means it's not 100 shares traded higher, right? Or 200 shares traded higher. That was the VWAP price. So we call that a buy burst. Okay, that's why we tag it as a buy burst. Burst, bigger volume, buy side, that the price got pushed higher, uptick. But here's something maybe to consider that we also tagged was during that same minute, we noticed that there was a big basket buy burst in the S&P 500 companies. Tesla's part of the S&P 500. So there are over here, actually, there's two indicators, S&P 500 buy burst and another indicator. So there are 5 different stocks that had a buy burst at the same time in the S&P 500. So we could click on that and just see. Oops. Hold on. Clicked in the wrong place. So these are the 5. See, Tesla's one of them. And then you had over here the notional 4 million in low pH. So I don't think these are related, really, because these look to me like stocks from different industries, and I'm not sure why a basket of low and tapestry would be in the same one, but it's just something that happened and we could analyze it. So I don't think that explains why Tesla had a buy burst. There was also there's a price burst, but I'm not going to go over this right now because I don't have time. But that means there's a price fade as well. But so we might go over that tomorrow. So I think I'm up right up at 9:30. Will, I wanted to kind of explain the details of this so people know how to read it, but we might just continue on it to get the further insights.
That's great, D. We did have a question from Matthew about the options scanner that I'll send over to you. Maybe we can hit that tomorrow as well or sometime this week. Okay. Awesome job, buddy. Thanks for doing this.
Yep. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Stay safe out there. Have a great trading day, and hope to see you guys tomorrow.
Trade in peace, Chameleon.